Of this ordinance. You will be adopting the proposed ordinance by roll call vote. Okay. So this is an ordinance by the Pasco County Board of County Commissioners relating to public health and safety, extending a temporary moratorium until December 31st, 2016, on the cultivation, processing, or dispensing of cannabis, including low THC cannabis, providing for enforcement, violations and penalty, applicability, repealer, providing for severability, inclusion in the Pasco County Land Development Code, and an effective date. Again, the recommendation is to adopt the proposed ordinance by roll call vote, authorize the chairman to sign and date 3 originals provided, and direct the board records department to file a certified copy of the ordinance and coding form with the Office of the Secretary of State within 10 days after the adoption of the ordinance, retaining 1 original ordinance and distribute two originals to the Planning and Development Administrator, along with a copy of the letter of the Office of the Secretary of State showing receipt of the ordinance.
Thank you, Denise. And Ms. Baker, could you speak to the efforts by our staff to put together a more in-depth workshop in the future?
So we have a meeting set for next week to talk about what that content would be, and I began doing some research. Obviously not an expert on this matter, but I have started contacting folks to put something together. I'm not sure that we'll have it ready for September's workshop, but that's what we're shooting for at this time.
All right, now board members, any comment before I open it up for public comment?
Madam Chairman, as I said at the last public hearing, but I'll put it back on the record again, this is, you're taking action to extend the moratorium that is current, the temporary moratorium that is currently in place through the end of the year, to give staff sufficient opportunity to listen to the public at this workshop and to craft regulations for the advent of whatever comes up in the November referendum and what was passed last year for the Compassionate Care Act.
Okay. All right, I have a number of people who have signed up to speak, and we're starting. Okay?
Yeah. Yep, that's fine. Sure.
Denise Houston. After Denise, I have Anthony Livio. I hope I pronounced that right.
Good afternoon. Denise Houston, 5619 Virginia Avenue. And I want to thank you for making the decision to present a workshop on this. It tells me that you do care. And I just have a little vision statement that I'd like to read from an organization called LEAP, Law Enforcement Against Prohibition. And this comes from the website Citizens Opposing Prohibition. And the vision statement is, envision an America where there are no drug dealers on the sidewalk selling drugs, shooting each other, or destroying neighborhoods. Imagine a world where all drugs are sold in a regulated state store by a clerk making $12 an hour. Picture a world where Al-Qaeda and other terrorists do not make billions guarding the drug trade and selling drugs. Think of an America where felony crime is reduced by half, which allows the police to focus on the deadly DUIs, the child predators, and the other public safety threats. Think of an America where felony crime is reduced by half, which allows the police to focus on deadly DUIs. Consider the prospect of redirecting the $72 billion tax dollars currently spent on chasing nonviolent drug users and their suppliers. See a world where if one day you or a loved one has a drug problem, you can see a doctor and not a judge.
Okay, thank you. Did you give your address and put it right?
Yeah, could you repeat it? We didn't get it. Thank you.
Newport Richie?
No.
We need a street address.
5619 Virginia Avenue.
Great.
Thank
you.
Anthony Livio. Am I saying that right?
Yes, actually. Hello, like you heard, Anthony Livio. I'm at 6316 Bandura Avenue. Thank you for allowing me this opportunity to speak. What I'd like to say today is that I was a medical marijuana patient in Colorado. I lived there for 7 years, and I've heard a lot of talk and paint a bad picture about what the scenery was out there and what it's done for the community. And I just want to offer to the workshop or to anybody my advice and expertise of living there and being a medical marijuana patient and being involved in the cannabis industry out there, what I can do to help you guys feel a little more at ease and help you put a little more of the infrastructures in there and tell you what it needs to be a dispensary and what kind of safeguards can go in place. Any kind of information to help you feel better about it.
Okay, well, we'll make sure.
I'll
Clerk's
write
office
it.
is gathering all this information. I'll get it from the minutes.
Thank you.
All right, thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Mr. Angel.
Good to
After
touch
Garyn, we have Kent Runyon.
Howdy, it's good to see you. 5910 Pine Hill Road. You know, my challenge is that we've had this moratorium in place for a year. We're a year later, and we still have done nothing to progress this other than extend the moratorium. And you know, I'd like to see the commissioners acting a little quicker to put this infrastructure in place. As the county attorney has already stated, this is not anything to extend this moratorium past December 31st of this year. So the sooner that we can get together, and I know you've scheduled a workshop, you know, the sooner we get this together, the better our program will be. And again, I implore you to not think about cannabis in its current state. All right? Cannabis, future forward, 3 years from now, is going to look much different than it looks today. We have very unique technology coming to the industry that standardizes the medicine. It gives predictable dosage, and it's very much like what our Western medicine is like, only it's plant-based medicine. And today, again, I saw another case of the EpiPen, which has went from $52 to now over $500. And I'm sure you're all familiar with the Martin Shkreli case with the 1,000% increase in pharmaceutical pricing. The direction that medicine is going, because it is cost prohibitive in the United States to get pharmaceutical treatment, is plant-based extract. Almost every pharmaceutical concoction that exists today is simply an extract of a plant, a root, or an herb that has been standardized and put into pill form. This is nothing to be scared of. Cannabis, it can't kill you. It's non-lethal. Its addiction rate is considerably less than almost everything that you get from the pharmacy. And so what I want the council to start to do is to think about this in a medical term and not in terms of, you know, stoners sitting around the park getting high. So I appreciate you guys. You're my friends.
You have another minute if you want.
Yeah, I'll take, you know, just, I appreciate you're my friends, and, you know, together we win is my attitude in everything I approach. And what I really want to do is help you, help the county. I know today we celebrated 180 new jobs. I know it's 500, but in reality, 180 new jobs for the county, and that's wonderful. If we become a healthcare hub, believe me, that number could dwarf 180, and it's great. This is wonderful. This is what we want. We want more of it. It's not a competition. It's a collaboration. But if we can get to a collaborative society where we're all working together to just bring innovative technologies into the county, that's really when we'll win. So thank you guys for your time.
All right, thank you. P1, Mark Lobianco. We have a handheld mic that you can use.
I can talk pretty loud.
Well, we need it for the clerk. Here we go.
Okay. Thank you. My name is Mark Lobianco. I live at 7415 Moorgate Court, Newport Richey. And the reason why I'm here today is I first found out that the county was having these meetings through the local paper. And when I read the paper, it kind of upset me. I'll give you a quick background. I was involved in an accident which left me paralyzed. I have spasms, I have neuropathy, and I have to take drugs to control them. My spasms were so bad that I couldn't leave my house. I now have they call it a baclofen pump. It's kind of like a pain pump, if anybody's familiar with that. And what it actually does is it administers the baclofen through a catheter under my skin. The pump is under my skin, and it's inserted into my spine. That allows me to drive to the government center because my legs aren't kicking any longer, and I call it rigor, but my legs get stiff also. Because of the baclofen, I now can drive, I now can get around without looking like a spastic. As far as the pain goes, I am not on any painkillers. I've weaned myself off of them. They started me in morphine when I was first in the hospital. Now here I am paralyzed. I didn't have any pain because I couldn't feel anything, but they still put me on morphine. Got off of that as quick as possible. My wife has helped me over the last few years. And the reason why I got upset when I read the article was people like myself were not mentioned in it at all. The benefits of medical marijuana were not mentioned at all. Also, that was it. They had an emphasis on crime and how it's going to tie down the sheriff's department and how they're going to be hanging out at these dispensaries and on and on and on. Not one thing about the medical use of the cannabinoids. Now, THC is what gets you high, and the cannabinoids are what they use for to make the medicine. The gentleman that was just up here, I am under the impression that he is going to open a dispensary. Well, good for him. But I would like to be able to have it at my disposal. My co-pays for the baclofen, get my pump filled. And by the way, I had my pump 6 years now. When I first started, they were filling it every 3 months. Now I'm down every 2 months. And a week or two before I have to go and get my pump replenished, I have to start taking it orally. Well, I have to pay co-pays for both. The co-pays, I guess I'm out of time.
No, keep going.
The co-pays are probably equivalent to what I'd be able to buy a month's supply of a medical marijuana. So I would like the public to be more aware of the medical benefits for myself, for cancer patients, and other people with debilitating illnesses that either cause pain or spasms or neuropathy. My mother is a diabetic. She takes gabapentin for her neuropathy. She wouldn't have to if she was on a medical marijuana. So please, get it out to the public. I brought a magazine in, it's called New Mobility. It's about disabled people. But they had an article in it last month about the difference between THC and cannabinoids. And I wish I could have made copies. I tried, but some of the stuff didn't come out. So please, if you can get copies made and all you read it, especially Ms. Baker, she's putting together some sort of a workshop. I think that'll help you quite a bit. And I'm out of time, and I thank you for the time that you've given me. Have a great day.
All right, thank you very much. Thanks for coming down. I have no one else signed up for P1. Does anyone else wish to speak to P1? All right.
I cut off the line of signing in when we were ready to start the meeting. I think there's a number of people.
You can come on down, and there's someone over here. Someone raise their hand. Yeah, let's get in a line behind the gentleman in the red shirt. Because he raised his hand first.
Good afternoon. My name is Rick Houston, and I reside at 5619 Virginia Avenue. I was a victim of a violent crime back in 1983, and my diagnosis was I would never walk again. Well, I proved them wrong, but in so doing, I was put on pain medication, which I've been on for 30-some years. The side effects are horrendous, but when given the opportunity to use cannabis as opposed to a pain pill, there's no
Comparison?
That's what
Yeah,
I was
thank you.
gonna say.
With pain meds, I have overdosed several times, not intentionally, but that is just part of the drug. When they changed the ruling, and because Florida became known as the pill mill, which made it very hard for people like me who depend on it, who need it to live a somewhat normal life. It made it even harder for me to access, but I was introduced to cannabis and found that it did the same thing as far as relieving pain. And I never had to worry about overdosing. So I would hope that you would take those things into consideration. That's all I have.
You know, there's some really brave people coming down and talking to us today, so thanks very much.
You're welcome.
Good afternoon, Kent Runyon, 9270.
Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped over you.
That's okay. I did take offense. I'm here in support of
9270, we didn't hear.
9270 Royal Palm Avenue, Newport Richie.
Thank you.
I am here in support of the mission of the Alliance for Substance Abuse Prevention, which is to reduce substance abuse trends in Pasco County, one of those being youth marijuana use. I'm also here as a representative of Novus Medical Detox, who helps people with addiction from prescription drugs, alcohol, illicit drugs. And we're very invested in both treatment as well as prevention. And my sole purpose here today is not to get onto the topics that have proven to be so divisive around the country as well as in these conversations. Hopefully I'm here to talk about something we can all agree on, which is the prosperity and the health of children and youth in this community. And I think we can all agree that we have to proceed with any provisions for medical marijuana in this community in a way that protects the likelihood of children and youth coming into contact with marijuana, anything that would potentially increase the likelihood of our children and youth beginning to use marijuana on a regular basis. I have lots of stats and research, but it's not hard to find the data that clearly demonstrates the lifelong impact of marijuana use when it started, particularly when it started in childhood. And that is my great, great concern, and the reason why I hope you will take careful consideration into how this county proceeds in a way that clearly protects that group of our citizens.
Okay. Thank you so much.
I have a handout for you guys.
Need your name and address first?
Jessica Powell, 7743 Lansdowne Lane, Newport Richie.
And I'll take a motion.
What is it you have?
The danger of marijuana edibles.
Okay, so can I get a motion to accept?
Move to receive file.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
You can hand
Bring
it
it to me, I'll distribute it.
And your name and address for the record.
Just
What's that noise? Is that someone's phone?
Yeah.
Okay, I think we're good now.
Okay, my name is Jessica Powell, and I'm the youth peer mentor for STAND, which is a group. STAND is a group of youth that works together with community partners to end substance misuse in Pasco County. It stands for Safe Teens Against Drugs. I started STAND about a year and a half ago. Substance misuse is a huge problem in my family. Both my grandma and my grandpa suffered with substance abuse while I was growing up. I actually lost my grandma to it. So I joined STAND to help eliminate that out of kids' lives. Marijuana is easily the most accessible drug in our schools. We can go into the lunchroom and say a certain code word and we have 3 people who deal. As a youth, social media and television is a big part of my life. Seeing how alcohol is considered cool by the media that can lead to youth to doing it. So if they start advertising marijuana on television, billboards, corner stores, or even on social media, many kids will think it's cool and start doing it. So how do you plan to eliminate this all across the world, or across the county?
Okay, all right, thank you very much. Just reading your handout. Next.
Hi, I'm Sheila Neese, 7809 Massachusetts, Newport Richie 34653. First, I want to thank you guys for your commitment and dedication to Pasco County and keeping it healthy and safe. I feel like it's admirable for you guys to educate yourselves on an issue that's as controversial as this is. As has been said already, I'm a co-chair with the Marijuana Task Force. It's a committee of the Pasco County Alliance for Substance Abuse Prevention. And the committee's goal is to decrease youth marijuana use and its consequences. As we consider policy change, it's important to anticipate many of the ways that the policies will impact Pasco County families and businesses. Two of the top focuses for the committee are impaired driving and marketing and advertising to youth. These have been identified as detrimental to collaborative local efforts to reduce substance use disorders. A few components of that are industry marketing to children, inaccurate health claims, and increased access to young people, as well as the impaired driving. When we reference a lot of our data, we look to Colorado because they have accumulated so much data and they've done such a good job of tracking it. Colorado has seen increases in younger youth use, increased rates of those that are 13 and younger using since from 2006 to 2013, which are dates that we want to look to when we're looking at policy change. We already see marketing messages in Pasco County leading our youth to believe that marijuana is healthy. When we look at our local data, we look at our FISIS data, and I say FISIS, but that's our Florida Youth Substance Abuse Survey. And in Pasco County, the perception of harm has significantly decreased, and that is a concern for us as a coalition. Specifically, when I speak to impaired driving, I think about our young drivers. And what we know is that vehicle accidents are the leading cause of death among young people 16 to 19 years of age. What we know about marijuana is that the effects of it are decreased attentiveness, perception of time and speed, critical thinking, motor skills, and a decreased ability to draw on information from past experiences. So, why is that concerning here? It's because we do see that our Pasco data shows us from the FISIS report that we have a higher rate of youth that are riding with drivers under the influence of marijuana, as well as riding with drivers who are under the influence of marijuana, while we see decreases of the alcohol of the same behavior. So that's why that's a concern specifically to our committee, is because we know about young drivers, we know about their experience and lack of experience, and we know what marijuana impairs, and we're seeing the data come out of other states that's concerning. I guess to wrap up, I do commend your commitment to educating yourselves further and giving yourselves the time to do that. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. My name is Monica Russo, 4323 Chipmunk Drive, Newport Richie, Florida, 34653. And for those of you who don't know, I am the Coalition Coordinator for the Alliance for Substance Abuse Prevention. And I wanted to begin by, of course, acknowledging my appreciation for the board, but for everybody who comes up and talks, whether you're in opposition, pro, or somewhere in between, this topic is so, it takes a lot of courage and emotion to talk about it. And from a professional level, I know that only the best policy can be made if all perspectives are shared. So thank you to everybody who has come to both hearings. I also want to say thank you to the Pasco Sheriff's Office for really showing great leadership among, I believe it's 20-something city councils and county commissions from across the state of Florida who are considering similar solutions to marijuana. We appreciate Pasco Sheriff's Office and Florida County Commissioners here. So I wanted to take a few moments to address a few recurrent themes mentioned from the last two meetings. I think they're very important. We've heard very heart-wrenching, very emotional stories that come from a genuine concern of people relating to access to marijuana, the ability to access it if in need. And I wanted to take this opportunity to address those concerns because perhaps our Florida state laws address those issues to date. For example, our compassionate use, in Florida, current laws allows people with certain medical conditions to access marijuana, and that marijuana can then be
distributed to that person's home if that person needs it. So as we saw in our article related to Hudson, the first shipment from Clearwater was to Hudson. So the idea and the concern that there may be issues of people with certain medical conditions accessing it might not come to be, since it is being home delivered to people here in Pasco County already. Additionally, there was concern that people who were terminally ill might not be able to have access to marijuana. Florida is a right to try state, so people with their medical provider could have access to that in that stage of their life. And I wanted to bring these themes up because from my perspective, the real conversation is about what we want in Pasco County in regards to the industry here. And from a coalition perspective, our main concerns, again, are marketing and access. As a scientist in training, as a coalition coordinator, I know that marketing and access directly link with youth use of any substance use. So again, that is our main concerns as we're considering anything. Having worked for the Bureau of Tobacco Free Florida for 2 years, I know that when in 1964, when we had 1 in 2 young men who were smokers, we know that that was very much related to marketing and access. And that's what we want to prevent again. And we can debate, I have 6 seconds. We can talk about the health and the consequences of marijuana during the sessions that you will have in September. But we all can agree that there is some degree of risk. And although many of us can say, and many of us can argue the concept of overdosing from marijuana, I do want to say that tobacco is the #1 cause of leading preventable cause of death, disease, and disability in the United States, and no one has overdosed from tobacco. Just because people do not overdose from it does not mean that we should not proceed with caution. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Ellen Snelling. I'm at 521 Lantern Circle, Temple Terrace, which is in Hillsborough County. But I came over here today because I'm a member of a coalition called Don't Let Florida Go to Pot. And I'm actually working with the County Commission and the cities within Hillsborough County on similar ideas such as moratoriums. And we actually used your moratorium as an example for Hillsborough County. So I wanted to commend you for your leadership since 2014 in having these moratoriums. And you are correct in your concern that opening up Pasco County to big marijuana, which is the commercial business of marijuana, it definitely should be a concern. Why? In other states, we'll use California for example, that has commercial marijuana, they have pot shops everywhere. So what the Department of Health has indicated that if Amendment 2 were to pass, which is in November, that Florida would have approximately 2,000 of these marijuana dispensaries distributed through the state. That's more than 7-Elevens, McDonald's, and Starbucks combined. And I have all those figures if you would like them. So the concern is to go ahead and start looking at how you want your zoning just for the laws that have already passed. We have a low THC marijuana law and a high THC marijuana law that has passed in the past 2 years. And like Monica has said, this marijuana is available to people within your county already without you having any kind of a shop to open because it is available by home delivery. I would like to give you an example of compassion for people who use marijuana and led their life on the wrong path. My daughter. The reason I'm a volunteer, and I have been since 2000, is because my daughter started using marijuana as a sophomore in a high school in Hillsborough County. She went from being a cheerleader, honor student, involved in many clubs, and very athletic young lady, to almost dropping out of school, becoming suspended, skipping classes, running away from home. And I was one of those moms that at 3 o'clock in the morning, I wondered if I was going to get that call, whether my daughter was going to be alive or dead. So there are two sides of the coin. We just do not want our youth to get the perception, which they have now, that marijuana is harmless. And not only that, it's healthy. It's a medicine. This is what the kids are telling us. This is what they're hearing. That's why marijuana is the one drug that is going up in the state of Florida and in Pasco County, whereas alcohol, prescription pills, all the other drugs are trending down because they're getting the right message, not on marijuana. So please keep this in mind. If you allow the commercialization of marijuana in this county, then what can happen is the kids are going to get the wrong message. They're going to see 2-for-1 sales. This is what happens in other states. They have all kinds of marketing, huge signs, billboards. So please proceed with caution. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jamie Howe. I live at 3661.
You can do it. There you go. Oh, keep going.
You can bend it.
Bend it up.
Okay, sorry, I'm a little short.
Bend it.
Is that,
There you go.
like that?
Cool. There
Is
you
that
go.
better? Okay. My name is Jamie Howe. I live at 3661 Kirby Boulevard in Portage. I've talked to you guys last time. I would consider myself a patient. I have exocrine pancreatic insufficiency. My pancreas is partially failing me. And I listened to everything that everybody said. I'm really glad that you guys are taking this very seriously and taking the time to do this right, because I think all of us really want this, set up right. It's coming. It's just a matter of when. But as someone who suffers in pain and nausea and severe diarrhea every single day, for me, I don't think it's fair to make people keep waiting. Charlotte's Web was put into the law was signed 2 years ago. I'm kind of like, what are we waiting for? That's just my personal opinion. But anyway, as of right now, I currently take Lyrica, and I did go to rehab for opiates. They almost killed me. I went 30 days inpatient. I checked myself in. I gave them the rest of my pills, and I said, I am absolutely done. You have to take these off. I was afraid that my daughter was going to find me dead in my bed, that I would not. I'm sorry.
It's okay, just take a deep breath. You're doing great.
That I would not wake up in the morning. I have a 4-year-old daughter, and she's everything to me, and that is why I do not take any more of these. But as of right now, I take Lyrica, and it is still a narcotic. It very, very much scares me, and I don't like the way it makes me feel either. So, sorry. They were talking about advertising. The other day I was watching TV and I saw it, and I was really shocked by it. I saw a commercial for vaporizers for tobacco. And I thought, wait a second, I didn't think they could advertise for tobacco. So I don't know if you guys can look into that, but anyway, I asked also that when you do your research to look at the source you're getting it from. And I've noticed a lot of the opposition's research only proves correlation. It does not prove causation, and that's the issue, is that there's so many factors that you have to factor in. Can I have a look?
Yes, you have that over.
Thank you. There's so many factors that you have to factor in and have to control for in research studies that, it can be a problem trying to determine whether these are harmful or whether they're not. And so really, a lot more research does need to be done. There's 450 different compounds in cannabis, and they have not studied even half of them. So, we do need more research, but the access is a problem. It's a problem for patients like me, because under the current law, I'm quote-unquote not technically terminally ill, even though, yes, my illness is probably going to lead to full failure. And so because of that, I don't qualify under the current law. So yes, there is an access problem for patients. That's why we're trying to push to get this passed in November. And also, this one here talked about tobacco. Well, cannabis has never been shown to cause cancer. Tobacco has. So comparing them are like peas and carrots. They're just two different things, Also, I'd like people to stop calling it pot shops. They're called dispensaries. That's the proper word. And you can't get 2,000 pot shops because you only have 6 growers, and those growers are over the dispensaries. They're not, that's crazy, that's insanity, and that's just a fear tactic. Prescription pills and heroin are still a very, very huge problem. Prescription opiates kill 44 people a day. If you add in heroin, which by the way, 80% of people who are on heroin start with prescription pills, you're looking at 73 deaths a day.
All right, so,
sorry.
Thank you.
And I have a lot of research here too, about traffic, about teen use, things like that.
Okay.
I would be really happy to share it with you.
Luke, can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
If you brought it to me. Last speaker?
Good afternoon. My name is Robert Dupre, Senior, reside at 6631 Durian Trail, Newport Richey, 34653. I'm here unprepared with a speech to get you people to understand that cannabis is not addicting and does not lead to harder drugs. Your mind leads you to harder drugs. Any of you that have done cannabis will know that. The rest of you that are speaking of cannabis don't know what you're talking about because you've not witnessed it. You've not indulged. Personally, myself, I'm from the hippie age. I've indulged for many years, and it has increased my eyesight. That's me personally. I have a multitude of friends that have illnesses such as PTSD that cannabis is definitely helping them. I'm just here so you guys will definitely research it because probably none of you are going to admit that you've done it, even though you probably have. And if you have, you know what I'm talking about. I don't mean to make this a joke. It's serious, and it's reality. And you can't talk negative about something if you don't know it. So, at the best, we need to get this installed as quickly as possible because there's a multitude of people that need this. It does not lead to anything else, and I'm a witness to that. I've been a very successful business owner in Pasco County for a multitude of years, since 1979. It hasn't affected me personally at all. And I'm living witness, and I'll admit to you, from the hippie days to the present, I indulge. I'm not ashamed to admit that. I just would like
No, we have the sheriff's office in here.
You know what? Lying will get you nowhere, but being honest will get you everywhere. And I can only tell you how it's affected me honestly. Now, I'm not going to lie to you and say, no, this and that. I'm straight up. And if y'all want to be honest, if you tried it, admit it. If you haven't, you can't throw it on the ground until you really researched it. And I just want to take the time to say thank you for allowing me to have my freedom of speech in front of you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, board members, we have a vote to continue the moratorium while we work on our workshop and learn more about it. So, I'll take a motion.
Everybody's scared to make a motion. I'll make a motion.
Second.
Do we not need a motion? It's a roll call vote.
So we're gonna. So I think once again to the people in the audience, what's going on? We're gonna have a workshop with people. I think Garyn left, but.
No, he's at the door.
Oh, is he?
I think he's going after the guy.
I'm waiting for you guys to extend it.
Oh,
okay.
Frustration on that.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Anyways, so there's going to be a workshop. We're going to have a discussion. I think Ms. Baker and staff are going to invite the folks that need to be there. I'm not correct.
We're going to try.
Somebody is, right?
We're going to try.
Okay, well, it's roll call, so go ahead.
Well, I didn't get a second. Oh, Jack, okay. So roll call vote?
Okay, District 1, Commissioner Schrader.
Aye.
District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
District 4, Commissioner Wells.
Aye.
District 5, Commissioner Mariano.
Aye.
District 3, Chairman Starkey.
Aye.
Okay. Real quick, Chair, I just want, you said we're going to try. We are going to have a
No, we
workshop.
are.
Well, we are going to have a workshop. Who's going to be here presenting? I don't know
I
yet.
understand.
So we're going to try and get a balanced palette of presenters.
Have any other counties workshop this in depth? Because maybe we can get, really?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
And I think this is the time to make sure everybody wants to be part of the workshop as far as at least being invited to come to town. And I think it'd be a little bit exceptional, but I think it'd be good to take public input at this workshop on that as well.
let's talk about that. It just matters how.
I'm bringing it up.
Well,
We
I
can-
can, Madam Chair, so I can
Yeah.
appreciate what you said, but in a situation, in a workshop situation, we all sat through many of them, some more than others. The time it's going to take to have this discussion in the workshop, you go through a public comment situation. I don't know if we're going to be able to have a fruitful workshop. I just don't. And then plus, we make an exception, then do it before for every other workshop. There's a possibility we need to make an exception for that one. I'll let the county attorney jump in on that one if you like. But I mean, when it comes to making exceptions at workshops for public comment, if we do for one, there could be a situation in the future questioning why we're not allowing public comment to those.
I think it's the board's prerogative whether or not they want to take testimony at a workshop. It has been your past practice not to. There is no state law that requires you to. But if you want to hear from individuals at a workshop to advance your knowledge and your understanding of the issue, that's within the board's prerogative, and I don't think it will set a precedent for future workshops.
I just believe that in doing so, getting this feedback, this is a very unique situation to all of us, and it's something that's, you know, we listen to what's going on out there, but I think again, the individual's perspective may not be selected to sit in this committee that's coming out, those perspectives, maybe someone from Colorado has been to see it. I don't know, I just think this is a good time to get extra input.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
My opinion would be that if staff talks to professionals in the industry like a Mr. like Garyn, Mr. Angel, I'm sure he could bring a few people along that have experiences across the country versus having 200 to 400 people speaking at a workshop that would never get anything done because of that.
I'm kind of inclined personally to agree with Commissioner Moore that, you know, I just want every part of the sector to be represented so that we get that view. So, but to open it up, Commissioner Maynard, I think we could have hundreds of people, and I think it just needs to be in a more organized fashion. So we can make, you know, we can get to a decision-making process. Commissioner Wells?
And I think we've been given some good information from several folks. I just want to make sure we have an opportunity to hear every side. We've only heard one so far, and there's no doubt that there's other sides. So hopefully we can get the most educated folks that have dealt with it and give us educated facts.
Apparently a dispensary has opened up in somewhere. Clearwater, and we have an invitation to go down there, see what one looks like, which isn't a bad idea.
Yep, agreed.
So maybe that can get facilitated, and you know, I have so much to learn in this. I really feel I don't know a lot. I can get confused with what some of the talk is here about what you can and can't have, and what. So I think a workshop would be a good thing. Okay, so we are on to P7.